Captain's Log, Episode 82. This week's episode of the Beervengers podcast is sponsored by the Bier and Cheese Collective, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Enjoy their eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at the Bier and Cheese Collective. Home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. The Beervengers is an unscripted podcast, except for this part right here. And with the writer's strike going, 2.5 months, no end in sight, SAG-AFTRA, of which I am personally and our several other Beervengers are members. So I'm not writing anything until that's over. You may see me on the picket line. You may see a number of Beervengers on the picket line, but whoever you see out there, if you know anyone who's dealing with all of this, buy them a beer, show them your support. Keep that in mind. I also want to mention something about the following episode you're about to hear. It was recorded in an outdoor live environment. As a result, you'll hear a lot more ambient noise on here than usual. I think you'll be able to hear us fine, but just so you know, it's not necessarily the sound quality you're used to, but we had a lot of fun, and I hope you will too. Remember to like, star, and subscribe whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 82, live from the Bier and Cheese Collective.
Well, we're the Beervengers, Beervengers, Beervengers.
We're the Beervengers.
Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from a fully disclosed location in Astoria, Queens, that being 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard. I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
And coming to you directly to the left of Captain Porter Brown Stout, it is I, the Beer Wonder.
And we are the Beervengers. Yeah,
that was a good one. I mean, it helps when you're sitting right next to each other.
It is. It's a first, and I think it went very well.
I do too.
Yeah, those of you who are listening to the first time, 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard is actually where Astoria, or that is the Bier and Cheese Collective is.
In Astoria,
and we have some wonderful pours. And Lane has just brought us a pretzel. Thank you, Lane.
Yeah, I'm gonna show off the goods.
Maybe next time he won't be so shy and he'll duck further in front of the camera.
Yes,
there we go.
We talk about the pretzels so often that I felt that it was only appropriate that we have one.
Absolutely.
While we're hanging out here.
But before we get to actual food, I'm feeling kind of thirsty.
It is 90 degrees, and we are outside in the backyard.
And I'm feeling great. There's a lovely breeze out here.
It's wonderful. But
we got the whole place to ourselves.
Hydration is important, so I think we should do that.
That is very true. Now, unlike every other episode, we're not doing the pouring here.
No.
We're on location at Bier and Cheese Collective. They've poured us some lovely draft beers. Beer Wonder, why don't you go first?
Sounds good. Well, I'm having a beer that I actually we should probably mention, though, that to the shock of literally everyone, today I will be having a truly
sponsored pour.
That's right, a sponsored pour from the source right here at the Bier and Cheese Collective.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm having a beer that I had at the anniversary party, and I saw it back on tap, so I was very excited to have a chance to enjoy it again. This is from our buddies at Fox Farm. It is the Dwell American Pale Ale. Look at how gorgeous that is.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It is hazy, it is orange.
And I'm looking at it in person.
I know,
Really
there's
cool.
no like...
You're looking at it on a screen, or maybe you're listening to us talk about it, but
It is an absolutely gorgeous...
So hazy.
It is that like grapefruit juice, orange juice thing. Here, we'll do it just so we can do the pour pick. So I'm going to hide myself on that.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. I love this beer. I'm so excited to have it again. And it is perfectly poured and beautifully cold and ready to be enjoyed.
Excellent.
What are you having?
Well, I'm also having a sponsored
pour.
Maybe in there twice, I don't know. Sponsored pour. I'm having a sponsored pour from here at the Bier and Cheese Collective.
I'm so shocked.
And this is a classic that I've never had on the show before.
Oh, okay.
This is the Westbrook Mexican Cake.
Oh, always a good beer.
Now, as we get to more pours, I'll more discussion, that is, I'll tell you where we have had Westbrook. It was a while back. But for now, let's just have the beers. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what's happening here. Oh, wow.
Oh, that's really nice.
Oh, that is really good. I had forgotten how this is a good combination of sort of citrusy and piney. They call it an American Pale Ale.
Yeah.
It's really bordering on IPA for me, but it's really good. Lots of citrus, definite hint of mosaic, gets a lot of grapefruit in there, but it ends a little bit bitter.
Okay.
So it's kind of refreshing. In fact, would you like a sip?
Oh, I would. Thank you very much. Oh, lovely nose there. Oh, that's extremely refreshing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's kind of got a medium body to it, so it is a good refreshing beer on a 90-degree day when you're outside in the beautiful backyard here at the Bier and Cheese Collective.
Yeah.
And it's only 6%, or 5.9 to be precise.
Excellent. Now, see, I didn't get my numbers, but they're over 10. Let's just say it's over 10.
It's a Captain beer. Come on.
Yeah, it's the Westbrook Mexican cake, one of the classics from all time. I remember when this was really hard to find, and there are actually periods where it's hard to find. It's only done seasonally, and they do make a few tweaks and adjustments. The staff here seems to think that this is a little less spicy than previous incarnations.
Huh.
I find the spice profile really, really very much there.
Interesting. Okay.
In fact, why don't you try it?
Oh, absolutely.
But it's got a really nice, dark, earthy, chocolatey.
Yeah, it is. It is like melted chocolate on the nose. You really that's the first thing that hits. Although it's like a darker chocolate. So it's
yeah,
like
it looks like it's not sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. And the lacing here is actually also really beautiful.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, so I could see how one would say that it is a little less spicy. Oh, there it goes. Yep. So it's a lingering spice.
It's more in the finish. Yeah,
it really is in the finish. But here I got a pretty decent spice tolerance, and it's still kicking for me.
Yeah,
I'm feeling it.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They've often had collaborations with Evil Twin.
Oh, sure.
And that Evil Twin, they have their regular one, and which they also tweak a little bit.
Yep.
They call the real Mexican cake. And I got their version this year, and sorry, Evil Twin, this one's better.
Wow. Ooh, shots
Call it what you
fired.
will.
Shots fired right here in the backyard.
And here's another funny thing: is we have had Evil Twin on many times.
We have. That's true.
And liked a lot of them, most of them, a whole lot.
Oh yeah.
But we've only had Westbrook on one time before.
Really?
And that was a collaboration with Evil Twin.
Oh, okay.
And do you know what the name of that beer was?
I don't remember what it was.
Well, it's on the bottle. It says OFYMD.
I don't know what that stands for.
Well, I think it's Huck. What does that stand for?
Oh, fuck yeah, my dude.
That's right. Oh, fuck
right.
yeah, my dude.
How could I forget that?
From Evil Twin and Westbrook. This is a different one, but I was going down the rabbit hole looking on our spreadsheet. I almost printed out a copy of it so I could spread it out here on the Bier and Cheese Collective table. But this is a classic.
It really is a classic. Well, here's the thing. There's nothing better than sitting outside on a beautiful hot summer day and having a beer with friends.
Yeah.
But also, I'm a little hungry, so I want to dive into this pretzel situation.
Yeah. Now let's show this on camera a little bit.
Yeah. And we should also talk a little bit about what's going on because it is. First off, the presentation at Bier and Cheese Collective is always on point. But we have the classic pretzel, which is just it's warm. It is lightly salted. It's got that good element to it. But then there's two other things that they give you for accoutrement.
This is house-made beer cheese.
Okay.
They make this here every day. They stir it up in a big vat or something like that. I don't know. I've seen them. I've been here sometimes to see it. It's a magical process.
Yeah.
And then also we have all this mustard over here with elegantly squirted out there.
Yeah, it's all sort of exactly what we want. Well, I think we should see how this is going to go.
I think we should, yeah. We just have to make sure. The thing is, we have so much things here. We have the mic here divided between us, but...
wait a second. We may need to pause because a delivery is being made.
Excellent.
So, the Bier and Cheese Collective, of course, is sponsoring our beers.
Thank you, Lavisa.
Yes. But importantly, let me just grab that from you. Thank you so much. It's always good to have snacks, and so today the captain suggested that we go for the works.
Yes, and we're going to find out later exactly what each one of these are. But there's a wonderful. It's basically they have several different meats, several different cheeses. They come with these little cornichons.
Gherkins?
Gherkins is what they're often called, but I think
that's not correct.
They're generally called. They're not little penises, even though they look like them.
No,
they're cornichons. And these little things, although they might look like edibles, they're actually little quince squares.
Oh, quince squares.
Yeah, Belgian Babe recently was saying, "Is that an edible?" Like, no, it's a quince square.
Well, anything is an edible.
I might have told that story backwards. I'm not sure, but yeah, this is basically it's to cleanse the palate in between the different meats and cheeses.
But this is important. I also want to mention there's a ton of bread.
Shit ton of bread right over here.
All the bread.
From Amy's Bread that they have here. So that we're going to be enjoying that.
Yep.
In fact, yeah, I'm going to grab a piece of this.
Yeah,
pretzel
let's
right
go in for
now.
the pretzel because that is always important. Now, there is debate, I believe, in the pretzel eating community, which I'm sure is there. Hard versus soft.
Okay.
When do you feel a hard pretzel is appropriate?
So, I don't know if I've ever had a hard pretzel that's as satisfying as even a moderately good soft pretzel.
Sure.
Don't you think?
Well,
I mean, I like them, but I feel like when I'm eating hard pretzels, I just think of like just a shitty bag. Now to be honest, I've had some with some more spices.
Sure.
Snyder's has some really good ones.
Yep.
That have a whole like array of spices. But for the most part, pretzels are just, oh, I'm hungry, I want to eat something. Here's a bowl of this.
Crunchy
It's
snack.
fine.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I'm definitely team soft pretzel. Although, I was my first introduction to a soft pretzel was like New York City cart,
Okay.
which, not to knock the cart hot dog because I have survived on those a little bit
Sure.
in my life. The cart pretzel is not where it's at.
Yeah.
There's not. It feels too bready and too steamy. What I love about this is that it's still a very chewy pretzel.
Yeah.
But it's got that nice crunch on the outside, so you're getting a little bit of both. You're kind of getting best of both worlds. It reminds me of some of what we were enjoying when we were in Germany.
Yeah, we had a lot of pretzels when we were there. Okay, here's a since I know I'm hitting you this totally on surprise,
Okay, there we
but since you brought up the subject, I want to ask a question. Do you know what the best soft pretzel you've ever had tasted like?
It's a good question. I would say it was. So it was definitely. Actually, I would say might have been slightly harder than the pretzel we're enjoying right now. And it was even chewier. I like a very chewy pretzel.
Yeah.
Well, this one is incredible, and it is the ultimate beer drinking accoutrement. But I believe I was in Germany. This was before the Beervengers.
Oh, okay. But you think it was in Germany?
And it was this very, very chewy pretzel. I was also, a couple beers in, so
Yeah.
I'm sure that colored everything. I was also in a beer hall with all of my new German friends singing Papa music, so that would, of course, make it the best pretzel of your life. But a chewy pretzel is something that I like. I don't like it hard and crunchy. Like, I don't want it to break apart into pieces. But I like something that's really, really chewy. Do you remember the best pretzel you've ever had?
I think it was at Lancaster Brewing. The Belgian Babe and I were up there, up in Pennsylvania, that area. I can't think of town names, but it's near The place we were going was near Lancaster. It's the Stouts Brewing, which I'm still not sure what the situation was. I know they were closing. They were trying to sell it, and the pandemic threw a whole wrench into. And the last I heard, they were going to farm out their name to someone else to make some recipes.
Yeah.
But anyway, they used to have these wonderful things where they just have this whole beer festival set up, and then we liked it so much we went back on our own just to hang out there.
Yeah.
And the
Why would you
last
not?
festival we went to had this really great beer from Lancaster Brewing.
Okay.
And the babe wanted to go to Lancaster Brewing, and it was like a short drive there.
Sure.
And we had lunch there, and it was like one of those pretzels that is like it's shaped a little more phallic.
Sure.
The long ones, not the tied in knot.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just so tender, and it had it was like shining from the oil, and it had some kind of amazing mustard-based beer cheese kind of a
Ooh,
thing.
there you go.
It was more mustard than cheese.
Sure.
There might have been some cheese in it, but it was like it was just the best combination, perfect thing. So Lancaster Brewing would
All
be
right.
my best pretzel
So
ever.
clearly you like them softer and I like them chewier.
Yeah.
That's what we're learning about each other today.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the degree of chewing.
Yeah.
But I find that some of the ones I found that like when we were in Germany, there were just pretzels were such a staple. It seemed like they'd often been sitting around for a
Correct.
while.
Well, yes, we did have some that I did think were sale. Where was it?
Yeah.
When we were in Berlin? No, not Berlin, Munich.
Munich, yeah.
And we went on that little crawl, and then we went to that kind of beer house place before our own personal post-thing crawl.
Yeah.
Those pretzels felt like you like hit them against the table, and they'd last for a little while.
Yeah, I think
But
you're right.
we did later take ourselves to a lovely beer garden where, if I recall, Cider Girl got one that was the size of her head.
Yes.
And that was an excellent pretzel.
I agree. I think that was a really, really good one.
Yeah. One must have standards with their pretzels.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, is there anything that doesn't apply to?
Well,
I mean, it's almost like I feel like saying you must have standards for pretzels is almost like Forrest Gump's life is like a box of chocolates. Like you can refer to any assorted thing and sound profound. It's like, well, life is like a craft beer menu. You never know what you're gonna get, and it's just as true as if you're talking about a box of chocolates. Although also here's the funny thing is just like, well, see, now I'm starting to contradict myself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with the box of chocolates, all I was thinking was, yeah, but unless it's a Whitman sampler, because you know what you're going to get, because there's a diagram there, and I stick with that because it's the same every time, but I would say before you walk into a great craft beer bar, you don't know what you're going to get. So the aphorism is truer for beer than for chocolate. End of rant.
That was a journey, and I'm honestly honored that I was, part and parcel to this whole thing. Not that I, but yeah, sure, I'm gonna go with that. Awesome. I do want to acknowledge though that though the Beervengers, we have been going before the Beercast, and then the Beercast happened. This is sort of like the ultimate and truest existence of how the Beervengers kind of happens, isn't it?
I think so. I think so. It's just all hanging out at a bar, having beer, maybe talking stories, going off on digressions. Mm-hmm. I mean, anyone who's been listening to the last 81 episodes of the podcast know that that's a thing. That's what we do in the virtual sense, but it's really just an extension of what we always did when we went and hung out in bars. Possibly fewer digressions on the podcast. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah. Usually, it's a very discursive conversation when we're together.
I guess it never feels digressive because there's no pressure that like someone is going to be listening to this on their podcast format of choice at a later point.
Well, for those of you who may be joining us in the podcast version and not having the visual, can you tell us a little bit about this backyard? Because there's a lot happening here.
So in the backyard, we're at a table with an umbrella here. You can see where it's basically a really spacious thing. There's a dozen tables or so. Most of them have umbrellas, so it's a great place. The backyard is actually especially special to me. I'm glad I wish I could put that in a more succinct way, because I was just thinking today what a wonderful haven it was for me during the worst periods of lockdown. Yeah. Because not the worst, but worst periods we couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
But then places started opening up for outdoor dining, and I just wasn't really comfortable hanging out on the street. Well, first of all, you'd be there and you're basically right next to the car fumes. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many of those there were. But then you'd sort of be there and someone would be walking down along the sidewalk and you know, do I need to put on my mask while they walk past?
Yep.
And it was just sort of weird. But there's something about how when I would come here, often with the Night Runner. Yep. Because he lives right around the corner from here as well. And it was just a place we'd say, let's go there on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
Because it was always, some people were going to the office, and this was always, it was like the best way to social distance and still feel like in a genuine, peaceful, real outdoor dining situation. Yeah. And so, yeah.
Well, and it was one of the first places that you and I met up when we went to an establishment. I think it might have been, we'd gotten together, with Cider Girl and Huck in Parks. But I think this was the first time that we, you and I went and kind of met up on our own. We came here.
Yes.
It was, I think it was in that time where we were all, maybe we had just gotten our shots or something, but it was we were still in that sort of in-betweeny period. And it was really special. I remember how much it meant to get a chance to have a couple of beers with you back here and actually be with you in person. So it does hold a lot of, in addition to them being our sponsors, and we are forever grateful for that.
And this is also kind of a funny thing about here. As I said, there's about a dozen tables or so out here.
We're the only ones.
It's 90 degrees right now, and everyone's playing chess inside. It's a Wednesday night. That didn't just happen spontaneously. Wednesday night is chess night here at the Bier and Cheese Collective. And when we had this brilliant idea to record this in this particular milieu, in this fashion, in this venue,
in this way.
Yeah, in this way. I asked, does the chess get outside? If they were, that would be a wonderful part of the ambience. Speaking of the ambience, you might be hearing some air conditioning noises. You might be hearing some distant jazz. I think there's an establishment a few doors down. I don't know where it is, but we're hearing some jazz music here. It might be coming through in the thing. But for now, this is we didn't ask for our own private recording outdoor studio, but that's what we got tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty good. I could honestly get used to this. We'll see how this turns out, but I could get used to this. Go to a place, record a beer cast from the establishment kind of situation.
I mean, yes. The only caveat there would be it's not a huge amount of equipment, but it is. There's just enough
moving parts. Yes.
That it was really. I like the fact we were able to come around the corner.
Yes.
Just do that here, but I'm using pretty much all our same equipment we usually use, except no green screen because we have this wonderful ivy covered background. You can see the wall back there with the plants and a little trellis back there. This is pretty great.
I know, it's the ideal way to go after this. Well, so how has your week of beer drinking been?
My week of beer drinking, let me see. Well, about a week or so in continuing with our whole pints and picks.
Yep, pints and pours. I don't know.
It's picks and pours or picks and pints. We're really not sure.
We'll get there someday.
We will. Or maybe we'll just copyright both of them and see if one takes off.
I don't know if the domains are free, but I'll see what I can find.
Well, you remember what my biggest justification for picks and pints was? Is that if you're in a movie theater and you can order a beer, even if you can order another beer, you don't want them coming to your table like every 10 minutes or so. So if you start out with a pint, that means that's longer before you have to do that.
The logic tracks.
Yeah, so that's why my personal thing, I'm moving more and more towards pints and pours. And a recent thing that I had with that was I went to the...
picks and pints.
Picks and pints.
You said pints and pours.
Oh, see?
The Mexican cake is already doing its job.
It's probably like about 10.5%, something like that. And I'm getting near the end of it. So
we just got to get the branding right.
Yeah,
okay? So that's what I'm here for.
So here's the thing: is when we do this, and so recently I went to see a movie at the Film Forum. It was the name of it escapes me at the moment, but it was basically a documentary about the impact of the film Midnight Cowboy.
Oh, okay.
And
that's kind of cool.
They were also in conjunction on another screen showing a 4K restoration of Midnight Cowboy.
Oh, okay.
And as much as I enjoyed seeing the documentary, it made me think I think I would have rather revisited the whole movie to begin with. I mean, I've seen it multiple times. Have you ever seen it?
I have seen it, yes.
Yeah.
I even did a parody version of it as an actor that was about cockroaches in New York City. So
that's interesting.
This was my alter ego job at the zoo.
So your cockroach was walking across the stage and you said, "I'm walking here."
Exactly.
Or the cockroach said it.
The cockroach said it. It was two cockroaches. One was a New York City cockroach. The other was just off the plane from Madagascar.
Well, that's
trying to make it in the big city.
That's not actually a huge stretch.
I know.
For Ratso Rizzo as a...
Yes, Ratso Rocho was his name.
Oh, there you go.
See, there you go.
Well, I mean, that's great, but... Rat is already in his name.
I know. He should have been a rat.
If you have an animal based on Ratso Rizzo...
Look, I think they got a grant to do something about cockroaches. It's all good.
Well, then also you got the whole concern with the IP of Disney and saying, well, if his name is Ratso Rizzo and he's actually a rat, then he's there's a Muppet.
Exactly.
Rizzo the rat.
Yes.
Which now I'm thinking probably was... there's no question that Rizzo the Rat was based on Ratso Rizzo.
Because he's very New York. Yeah,
he's very New York, but it's like, why else would they have come up with the name Rizzo the Rat?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you couldn't do that. So although you're kind of ripping him off anyway, but anyway.
Rocho, yeah. It wasn't I'm walking here; it's I'm crawling here. Yes. Cockroaches.
But anyway, so when I went there, I wound up I wound up getting. Should I say this? So I got a can. Of wine.
Oh.
Yeah, I had red wine and popcorn when I was there.
Okay. That's not that is a pick, but not a pint.
That's true. So
you're halfway there.
That's right. But after the movie, I went over to Torch and Crown.
Oh, that classic.
Which was great because they just done a tasting here.
Sure.
Wonderful pairings here in this location. And one of the ones they had was a really great stout, which we featured at the Stoutalooza called Caramel Lion. And when they were here, I said, "Do you still have some of that in stock there at the brewery?" And they said, "Yeah." So we're like, "Okay, well, that's where I'm going the next time I'm in that neighborhood." So it all fit in perfectly with that. I wound up bringing a 4-pack home of Caramel Lion and Kumbaya to all of us.
Oh, praise it. Bless it.
Yeah.
Hashtag bless it. I love Film Forum. I always forget about it, and then I go there every couple years, and I'm just like, this place is great. I should come back here more. The last time I was there was just before the pandemic. I went to go see, they were doing a Pride showing of Paris is Burning.
Okay.
On the small screens that they have there. They're not massive, but it was just this they've been running it for the whole month of June,
Sure.
and I went there, and it was like this weird mix of exactly who you'd expect would show up on a Thursday night to go see this queer documentary in the Village or in Soho, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was a bunch of weirdos, people in full drag, people dressed up for it. It was a fabulous showing, and every time I'm always like, I need to go back to the Film Forum because I love that place.
Yeah, it is great. I mean, I keep hearing that Natasha Lyonne hangs out there a lot.
Really?
But I've never seen her there.
Oh.
However, she is on the board.
Okay.
She's on the board, as are the Sherman Palladinos.
Oh, okay, those fine folks. We are
So, yeah.
appreciative of them for all of their contributions, especially to one of my favorite shows that has recently just ended.
Oh yes, the Marvelous Miss. Did you watch it all the way to the end?
I did watch it all the way to the end, yes.
I found it satisfying. I know we, in fact, you and I recently hung out at the. Was it just the other day we were talking about this?
It was.
Parsing it, making through it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when we decided to do this, we were having beers at Evil Twin,
Yes.
the Dumbo location. So if this is a good idea or a bad idea, you can blame the Evil Twin beers for that particular bit of inspiration.
See, the thing is, again, with Evil Twin, either this was genius or we should never have done it, because that's the way that Evil Twin cuts for me.
Yes.
I'm so proud of it.
Yes. I mean, it was like, well, here's the thing. It's like, see, we keep shifting around here, but
I know.
I feel like I need to talk about this one. Evil Twin had a really innovative beer.
Yes.
And it was we've talked about how the Kolsch is sort of a hybrid beer because it is lagered, but it's made with ale yeast.
Exactly.
We've talked about the cold IPA.
Yep.
Being that it is that one is sort of again it's like it's an IPA ale yeast,
Yep.
but it's lagered, but it's not considered a lager, so it's not an IPL. It's a cold IPA.
Yep.
And they tried doing something similar with a black lager.
Oh, yes, I recall. Yes, I tried this.
And the notion of it, what they said was, is this, I'm going to get the name wrong, but it's something like, because they have such long names, like, is this the first
I think they called it
Schwarzale?
Schwarzale, yeah, that's what they call it.
Yeah, Schwarzale, because they have a Schwartz beer, but a Schwartz ale,
Yep.
which was great. But then underneath, as the description for the beer, they called it a black lager.
Yeah, it was just confusing.
Come on, should have get off the pot. Either it's
Exactly.
ale or it's lager. And as we've all said, if there's a question, it's almost always an ale.
Yeah.
Because ales are much more inviting. And said, sure, you can come over and hang out at our place.
Exactly.
Whereas lagers are like, we're very strict, got to be done this way. Lagers, hey, come on over. Yeah, black lager, but it's an ale. That's good.
Exactly.
So I think it was an ale.
Probably was.
And all they would need to do is change the designation there. Or here's another thing.
Okay.
If they have to put a black lager on that menu, put a question mark at the end of it.
Oh, I like that. See, and that feels very Evil Twin to me, because
I
Evil
think so,
Twin is
yeah.
just like, you know what, fuck it.
So black lager?
Huh?
You don't know.
I think it requires the intonation to really make it work.
Absolutely.
I'm noticing something.
Our
You
glasses
and I are starting to run dry.
And so here's what happens when we're usually doing the podcast. We're recording from different locations, and there's at least 3 of us here. So what happens is one person will go on mute while the other person keeps talking.
Correct.
While they go to the refrigerator for the beer. But there's only 2 of us, and both of our glasses are. Well, let's just finish this one off.
You just take care of that. I took care of mine. It's fine. It's fine.
And so we're going to go in a brief pause here, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with more beers, and we'll see you then. And actually, this will only be a few seconds because that's the way it'll be edited together. But for us, it'll be a few minutes. So chew on that for a while, and we'll be right back.
Yum, yum, yum.
And we're back.
Shocking. I know.
Wow, I hope you didn't mind waiting all that time, everyone. Well, I know you didn't actually have to wait, but but we're happy to be back regardless, and we have 2 new great pours.
Expertly poured, I will say.
Expertly poured. Thank you to Lane. Lane poured these wonderful beers for us. And well, let's hear about your beer first.
Sure. So I've got one from one of our favorites. We were literally just talking about them.
We literally were just talking about
I know, Torch and Crown, the Shook one, which is their Citra IPA. If you know me, you know I love an IPA, and so I'm always happy to support them. And they do make really great ones. And again, it is a hot night, and IPAs for me are a beer of summer.
Yes.
I know that is not true for all people, but for me they are. So they're also a beer of winter. They're a beer all year round for me.
Well, we've talked a lot about the fact that, I mean, I didn't know if you had fully committed to it or not, but I am also very much the notion that I'm not a seasonal beer drinker. I like the beers I like all year round.
That's fair.
And this one is no exception,
Yeah,
although...
this would not be in season for some, I'm sure.
But this... Oh, let me get the logo
Yeah,
on
you gotta
there.
get the logo out there.
Here we go. This is a beer from Gun Hill.
Oh, we like them too.
We're
We're pretty local, this one.
Yeah, and there might be a bit of controversy here, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first, let me just introduce this wonderful beer. This is Void of Light,
Yes. Now,
one of the best beers they've ever made.
correct. Now, I do want to take exception to this, Captain.
Can we just toast first? Can we toast and then you can take the exception?
Fine.
All right, here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Now, accept away.
Okay, so here's the thing. Captain, you have had this beer before.
Yes, many
Now,
times.
you...
It's great.
Yeah, I know, and you have had it on our show.
Okay, yes, but That was almost 80 episodes ago.
I understand that, but one of our things is we promise people that we do not repeat beers. Now, in fairness, I have done that once before.
Which is why I get a free pass this time.
Fine. All right.
I mean,
honestly, if I was going to give you a hall pass on the beers, this would be one that I give you a hall pass on.
Yeah, the tricky part about this one is they make this year-round, so it's hard to, like, put it in a seasonal sense. However, I imagine that the Void of Light I had in a can in episode 3 in 2020 may be slightly different from the one that was just released on draft in 2023.
Correct. It's been 3 years of improvements.
They don't necessarily put the vintages when you're looking at an Untapped, but all that in addition to the fact that Beer Wonder did it once before, so this is my hall pass. I'm having the Void of Light.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
So this one is lovely. It's very, very heavily carbonated, so there's a lot of bubble action going on. It's a little bit thinner. I definitely am getting the intensity of the citrus, so it is all fruit, it is all pineapple, it's all tropical, and it's like a real refresher. It's also about 7%, so it's a tricky one. Would you like a taste?
Oh, sure. Thank you. I've actually had this one before.
Yes, I would.
And here, see what you think of the 2023 vintage.
The 2023 vintage. Oh, look at us. We're so fancy now. Oh, very plummy on the nose.
That's this is just two very excellent choices.
I know. I always forget with Void of Light. It is just it feels like it is crossing over into barley wine for me just a little bit.
Really? Into barley wine?
In the smell, because I do get an intense plum, but it maintains all the rest of the flavors that I would expect. Later.
I'm surprised you're suggesting it jumps the fence all the way there.
I can see it fully jumps. I think it is trending.
I would think. Yeah. Maybe the Imperial.
Fair.
Because that's, I think, the next step.
Yes.
And to me, that's what the foreign export stout basically is. Mm-hmm. It's your nice little wedge there between your standard stouts and your Imperial stouts.
That's true. That makes sense.
Because it doesn't really taste that heavy. But it's, I believe, about a 7.9%.
All right. Good work.
I like it a lot.
Excellent work.
So we were talking about our trips with the pints and
with Evil Twin.
That was the funny thing is, like, I talked to you earlier in the day, and I said let's do an Evil Twin thing. I want to pick up a 4-pack, and then you were getting off work a whole lot later than I was.
Yep.
Because from my work to Evil Twin, it's should be less than half an hour, easy. But as I was walking down to the train, and I just missed an R train. I didn't rush because I knew there was going to be another one in just a few minutes, and it came about a half hour later.
Yeah.
So by the time I finally got to Evil Twin, I got my 4-pack of their speaking of barley wines, they have, I think the name of this one is, what is a black barley wine even?
That's good. That's a good Evil
Something
Twin
like
name.
that. And I've had a couple of cans in it, and what it is even is really good. I feel like they've been listening to the podcast, because I have been talking for a while about how they've been getting a little too carried away with the sweet, and I feel that a lot of the beers they've been having lately, I'm a little hesitant, and I have it, and actually they don't lean too heavy into the sweet, and that's how I felt about the black barley wine. And also we had a beer there that was all I remember was the name was connected to our recent difficulties with the smoky air from Canada.
Oh, yeah. Something about it being like too hazy in New York. Or, the air quality.
Or said the air quality is not good for sensitive types, or something along those lines. And it was like a 13% Imperial Stout.
That's how you get through those bad air quality days. Let's be
exactly.
real.
But thank you for chasing away the vermin. This is outdoor backyard. We have little flying things everywhere. And that's what Beer Wonder is doing. He's just shooing them.
Yes.
Shoo
fly. You are not a Beervenger. You are not invited to the party.
You're not.
It was a lovely afternoon, and we were sort of batting around ideas around what we could do for the beer cast that would be new and interesting. Since at that point we believed that Huck was off in faraway lands doing important research.
Yes.
And so we figured, well, why not get together and do a recording, just the two of us, in a location just to try this out.
Initially, because he had to come to my place to pick up his sponsored pours.
And I was coming through. Don't trigger it.
I will.
And I was coming through LaGuardia, so I was sort of in the general area.
And then you were saying, oh, why don't we just do it at my place? And I thought, oh, that would be interesting. And then I thought, well, if we're going to do it in the neighborhood anyway, why not do it here at the backyard of the Bier and Cheese Collective?
Yeah.
And
35-11 Ditmars Boulevard. See, I got it right this time.
Yeah, in Astoria. Yeah, well, being here, I guess, helps.
It does. Well, yeah, when you actually have to walk by the street and it says Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, you're like, oh, that's where we are.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And so
it's an insignificant brainer for me because I don't live near here, but that's neither here nor there.
well, you know, it's tricky because it's for the most part it's parallel to the avenues.
Truth.
And so if it were and between 23rd and 21st Avenue, there is no 22nd Avenue, at least in this neighborhood.
Truth.
And I say that because sometimes these avenues just show up again.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if you're walking down Steinway Street and then go over Northern Boulevard, all of a sudden it is 39th Street.
I know.
Actually, speaking of places we went.
Oh, yeah.
A couple days ago, I saw they had some really fantastic beers at Alewife. Dalton, Dave, and I were looking for some place to hang out, and we weren't sure what food they have. Oh, basically, so I couldn't find this on their website, but I discovered when we went there, anytime you go to Alewife, there will almost always be either pizza or tacos.
This is a selling point.
I think it is too. It was this particular Sunday afternoon. I think it's like when you're there, they have a schedule, but they couldn't find it on the website. But there's like 3 or 4 days it's one, and 3 or 4 days it's the other. And Sunday is one of the taco days, and we had some wonderful tacos from a place that I will. Yeah, see, here's the thing: is like this is the point where we'd say, "Hey, talk about this," and I'd look it up on my phone and see what it is, but I don't remember the name of the taco place. But we'll put that on that information somewhere.
Exactly, it'll be on the Instagrams.
Yes,
on the Instagrams. Which, if you're not following us on Instagram, we are at the Beervengers. We are also there on the Twitters, and also now on the Threads.
Oh yeah, we're on the Threads.
Threads.
I don't think many of you are following us there.
Yeah,
I don't think I put a couple things just for fun.
Yeah.
If you want to check us out on Threads, we're at the Beervengers. It's like just like everyone who has an Instagram account. It's just sort of everything migrated from one to the other, and now they're in both places. There's still more stuff on Instagram, but we're on Threads if anyone wants to find us there. So go ahead and do that.
And don't forget about the Tiki Takis, because that's where the goods are happening.
Right.
Hophead Huck. Keeping us real, keeping us relevant to the kids, children.
I'm glad someone is, because I've been trying to post videos on there, and every time I do, it's like, oh, we couldn't decode it.
I know.
I'm like, how is this the most popular thing if you had to code something I already put on Instagram?
It's all right. It's just telling you you're old. It does the same thing for me. It's fine.
I don't know if I'm complaining that I can't do on one that's something I can do on Instagram.
I know. It's telling you you're old because the old
Instagram is
because the old
old
people are on Instagram. That's how this game works. In any case, you did just go after our works board. And I do want to just touch on it because you and I have been kind of attacking it, but we have not been discussing our thoughts on it. So we've got 3 different kinds of meat. It looks like we've got 4 different kinds of cheese.
Yes.
We've got the little palate cleansers, the non-edible edibles.
Right. Actually, just hand me the thing so we can put it. Try not to spill anything off here. But so this is what we're talking about. We got these 3 meats. We got the 4 cheeses. We got the quince stuff. I don't even.
I think that's like a pate of some sort.
That'll be good to try. Have that on some bread. And there's like this big tray of Amy's bread, and so that's what we're going at. Also, you see the little signature, little mustard squiggles because
that's what we do around here. Well, I've got to say, so we've got 3 meats. One appears to be like a fatty meat. One appears to be more of a lean cut, and then one is like a sausage.
I'm going to interrupt you. Of course, the last one is pate because they wouldn't have 3 meats and 4 cheeses.
Yeah, that would
They
make
have
sense.
4 meats and pate is one of the meats.
That makes sense. That tracks. So of the meats, there's the like fatty meat, there's the like leaner meat, there is the pate, and there is the salami or the what's it called, sausage, like a spicy sausage. Of those, do you have a preference?
That's a good question. Well, here's also the thing, and they're in order. They are paired with the cheeses that they're with. So, like the pate. Goes with, it looks like it's some kind of a blue cheese over there.
That's correct.
The pepperoni, I think, goes with cheese that looks a little bit harder. And the lean turkey. Well, see, now I'm seeing, there's 5 cheeses here, aren't there? Wow, there's just, there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. I mean, there is a rhyme or reason, and if we can find out, we'll, but just really, even if you don't know the rhyme or reason, can't remember them, just enjoy all the wonderful meats and cheeses. I'm going to have some of that pate.
So the pate with the blue was actually a really good choice. And I will say, I've been picking at this a little bit, which is why I've gone quiet a few times.
It happens.
It does. But I do want to shout out what remains, my favorite pairing of all.
Which is?
You take something spicy, and you have a hoppy IPA with it.
Okay.
And it makes everything about your life better. Now, for those of you who have not heard my dissertation on spice and hops, you're welcome. So, here's how this works, okay? When you have spicy things, you have capsaicin, right? That's the spice molecule. It's the one that makes it burn. When you have hoppy things, you get the acids that come from the hop plant, right? Okay. Those things chemically react with each other to intensify both of their feelings in your mouth. So if you are looking for a spice experience, an IPA and something spicy, excellent choice to amp everything up and make everything burn just a little bit brighter. And the kind of slightly spicy pepperoni sausage that we're having with my hoppy IPA is giving me what I wanted.
I feel like I'm making this with me reaching over. Is it so? Could you be so kind to me as put some of that blue cheese on a piece of bread for me?
I can make this happen.
Because this is actually, if we're talking about pairings,
it would only be polite.
This would be one of my favorite pairings, but I feel like I'm upstaging Beer Wonder every time I reach over him to grab a piece of meat or cheese.
Why this pairing is one of your favorites.
So I find that this goes along with what you're talking about, how either you just load up on all the spicy, all the things together. I think this is what we call like pairing of intensities.
Yes, exactly.
And so that this is 2 pieces of bread here.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's fine.
Commit to the bread.
We'll make it work.
Commit to the bread.
I'll flay it a little bit here.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, blue cheese goes really well with a stout. Mm-hmm. And so, in fact, that was the first time I ever really first discovered some of my favorite blue cheeses, is coming to this place, and they would be pairing an imperial stout with, say, a Cambozola. I'm not sure which blue cheese this one is, but I'm sure it'll go really well.
And now we're getting the crunch ASMR, which is what the people want.
Yeah. And crumbs in my beard.
Exactly.
And on my shorts. It's a mess here, but a good mess.
At least we're outside. All right, so we've done the pate with the blue, and we've done a little bit of the void of light. What's our take? What's our verdict?
I mean, it's all great. It's all. I hate to make it so simple, but it's beer, it's meat, cheese, and bread.
Yeah, what more do you want?
It's great.
Don't they call that provisions? That's something I've always thought about. You know, when you go to like a provisions store and it's like meats and cheeses and like beers and like fun drinks.
Yeah.
I was always like, because when I think of provisions, I assume that someone is like going on a long journey into the woods and they're like never going to come back. And so you'd want something that would last, which, you know, like a cured meat and a cheese and a beer. These are all things that will be good for your, like...
Maybe a dog with a barrel of brandy around it.
Exactly. Like, these are all the things we're looking for. But when, like, a provision for me feels very much like, okay, we're salt of the earth people. We're, like, doing a thing. And like, it's not, like, a high-class thing. But then you go to these provisions places, and it's, like, $20 for a thing of cheese, and I'm like, what are we doing here, right?
It is hipster provisions.
Exactly. Beer and Cheese Collective understands what we're all about, and they put it together in a way that makes sense for me, and it's not provisions, even though we are being provided for partially by the provider, or at least a provider adjacent this evening.
Oh, I mean, she's the one who gave the instructions for tonight. So, yes, her fingerprints are all over this. She's the first person I talked to about this when I came here the day after Beer Wonder and I talked about it. Do we do too much behind-the-scenes stuff when we're talking about these things? I don't know.
No, the people want to know.
You want to know how the sausage is made, don't you?
Well, and the sausage we're eating.
Yes.
We'll have to ask someone else about that, though.
Yeah. That sausage is a little more gruesome. This sausage is just sometimes just like, okay, so we had a production meeting, which it almost feels like we're doing now. But we're not. We're just enjoying our beers. And our cheeses.
Exactly.
And our meats.
Yeah.
And our breads.
And our outside time.
Yeah. This is kind of the best way, aside from just being naked in air conditioning, this is kind of the best way to experience 90-degree weather.
All right, so now we're getting really personal. This is really how the sausage is made.
Oh, I'm not teasing. We're not going to do that on the show.
No.
Unless maybe we should make a Patreon for that, in case someone really wants to.
No, I think that's called OnlyFans.
Oh, okay. Well, so the Beervengers need an OnlyFans page.
I don't think anyone... Well, you know what? Honestly, some people would pay for that.
Yes.
That said, I am not the kind of person who likes to be home naked on a hot day.
Okay.
I like to wear clothes. I know. I feel like a weirdo for saying that. I have recently discovered the advantage of not wearing pants.
Okay.
But like generally, I will like come home and just be fully dressed.
Oh yeah, taking my clothes off is the first thing I do when I get home.
Apparently this makes me a weirdo.
Is that too much for the beer podcast?
No,
I don't know.
We have an explicit rating. That's where we are.
All right.
We need to keep that. I said fuck already once. That's the second time.
Yeah.
So, But, yeah, no, I am definitely I'm going to keep wearing clothes I mean, like, maybe no pants.
Okay.
Depending. But, like, definitely a shirt. And I get cold very easily. If I have the air conditioning on too hot, I have to be under a blanket. Like, it's not. If
it got that bad, I would just turn down the air conditioning. My air conditioning in my bedroom is set at 74 degrees.
A sensible.
And I still often need a blanket with that.
That's reasonable.
But I'm not going to be wearing pajamas or something. Is there too much Captain Nudity discussion on this episode?
I don't think so.
All right, I just want to make sure.
There may never be enough.
I'll let you be the arbiter of that, since you're always the arbiter of taste and politeness and etiquette.
Well, we just moved directly on to nudity, so we've achieved singularity, I believe is what they say.
So now we're not getting into physics.
I know.
We're achieving the singularity through drinking high ABV beers and meats and cheeses and bread. I'm sorry. I look down at what's here, and it's just an embarrassment of riches, and it's wonderful. That's the challenge with the Bier and Cheese Collective. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's like there's just too much goodness. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That said, given that we've now we've now become a physics and nudity podcast, and the whole thing, I do want to mention that I continue. Apparently, when Beervengers show up on anyone else's beer casts, we take things in weird directions too. Oh yeah, you've been working on the what is it called now? The beers. The City Brew Tours Beer Club. Yes. Previously known as Brews Less Traveled. Yeah, you've been talking about Brooklyn on there. I've been repping the BK and the County of Kings, as we all know. Yeah. That is my home. So the first episode was a really fun one. It was on 4th of July. Go America. Yeah. We had some really good beers from our friends at Threes and our friends at Other Half. I'm going to hook up myself on this beer cast because I didn't do it on the other one, but I did mention that that Other Half is located. I said it was in Borum Hill. I should be clear. It is in Carroll Gardens. The real estate agents will have you believe that Bococa is one in Brooklyn. Right. It is not. There are 3 distinct neighborhoods with 3 distinct vibes. I did, however, recommend that would be an excellent place to begin or end any of your beer crawls, and we did talk about some epic beer crawls we've had in that area. So I'm fixing that here. But our last episode was all about KCBC, and so I was talking about some of the fun we've had there. And we did have an Alsatian Pilsner. An Alsatian Pilsner. Exactly. Also from KCBC? Also from KCBC. Okay. We did also add a fruited sour from them. But the Alsatian Pilsner, I think you might figure out why Alsace or Alsatian might have a special meaning to New Yorkers. Well, yeah. In a way that they may not realize. Because the person who created the Statue of Liberty is from Alsace, and which is a German-speaking portion of France. Is it just German-speaking? Well, there's French too. Yeah. When I was there's a lot of French. Yes. Well, the way that they were defining it, because it was German-style beer, was a French take on a German style. Was kind of the way that they went. Yes. Well, I mean, but there's a big difference there. Because you also mentioned this to me because I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I play that person. Yes. For my day job. I do an interactive one-person show playing that guy. And so I did actually visit Alsace a decade or 2 ago. Now I'm actually curious. Do it. What did they say? What made their take on the beer more French than German? So they're using French-style hops. Okay. And they're using a French style of grain. So it was basically sourced from the Alsatian area. Okay. So here's the thing, KCBC don't fuck around. No. And so they done it right. And it's a really good, really delicious beer. But I of course felt it was my duty as a Beervenger and the only representative of New York City and specifically Brooklyn on the call besides the guy from KCBC. Yeah. That I needed to make sure that people knew that not only was this an amazing Brooklyn beer, but also the beer is directly connected to one of the icons of our city. Oh, yeah.
And I think that may have been confusing to people.
It might have been too much information.
I think it probably was.
But there were the one or two people on the call who got it.
Exactly.
I'm sure they really appreciate it.
And you're all welcome. But I'm just saying, that evening, I felt like we were a beer and history podcast. Just for that brief glimmer. We also discussed personal finance earlier, which got even more complicated. But I like that we are now a beer and physics and nudity podcast. Anyone Beervengers shows up, we just go multidisciplinary.
This is what hanging out having beers with your friends is.
We are the liberal arts degree of podcasts.
Yeah.
Because you get drunk and you talk about things. That's what it's supposed to be.
And the reason I asked how the beer is different because I think they're known for their beers. Alsace is known for their beers, and Alsace. I mean, it's been in France. It's been back in France for a long time. We have to think of it, Alsace and Lorraine, as both French places. But here was what I felt. My Alsatian knowledge of alcohol is more about their wine, and they're known for their Rieslings.
That is true.
But
which is also
there's a very distinctly difference an Alsatian Riesling or a German Riesling. An Alsatian Riesling, generally speaking, is a bit more dry, which is what I prefer. And a German Riesling is generally a little more sweet, which is what most Americans prefer. So when I was in the city of Colmar, and I was out to dinner having some kind of like oxtail stew or something like that.
Like one does.
Yeah, and when you're in Alsace. And I was ordering a wine. The waiter tried, because I was an American, the waiter tried to steer me towards the sweeter ones. I'm like, no, I want the dry Alsatian Riesling.
Well done.
And so I'm looking forward to trying this KCB. What was the name of the KCBC beer? Do you remember?
Salu. S-A-L-U, but there was an umlaut over the U.
Okay.
And
so they're really mixing up the two places.
Exactly. And I do want to say, and this is just a consistency across all KCBC beers.
Yes.
A+ can art. Just off the rail can art.
I'll give you a little preview of something we may or may not be having in a future episode. I just gave you a wonderful beer they provided to us here. I put it on Instagram before, but it bears repeating. It's called The Hound of Music.
Oh, yes.
And it's got a wonderful, it's like a hound, it's like a dog was recast in The Sound of Music. And hopefully we'll be having that very soon on a future episode.
But that's let's just be clear, that's Austria.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, I didn't say it was Germany.
It's not French.
I was just talking about their can art. Okay. Yes, you're right. You're right.
I just want to make sure we're clear.
The Sound of Music took place in Austria. Yes. We all know that.
We're all aware of that.
A lot of us know it. Well, that means we need to have some. There's a brewery in Vermont called Von Trapp.
Oh yes,
which is directly related to the Sound of Music.
I has actually been there.
Yeah. What is it? Oh yes, they do.
Oh, see.
Thank you. Lane is here. He's too shy to come on camera, but he wants you to know that they make wonderful cheese also.
See,
I mean, they're Vermont. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's the Vermont way. The Vermont way is truly what we're having right now.
Absolutely.
This is a very Vermont experience, just in Brooklyn.
I love the way that the when we first started this, I thought that since the lighter, like half of my face was dark, but now like there's something about between our lighting and the natural lighting, it's all just become very. I like the color palette here.
The sun is setting in the backyard. It is 8:41 for those of you who are keeping track.
Okay.
Which is around sunset now this time of year.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an overcast day too. So it's kind of it's exactly what you want in like a backyard. Have some beers, have some cheese, hang out with friends, hang.
I'm just glad it didn't rain.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Now, were you affected? Because I know Queens, because we had all those rains recently.
Yeah.
I was actually in another location when a lot of that was happening.
Yeah, which rains in New York are you talking about? So the ones I keep hearing about right now are the ones in Vermont.
Right. Well, there were rains that happened on Sunday.
Right.
That happened in upstate New York, and then it continued into Monday, and we did have some rains in New York City.
Yeah.
Well, there were some portions of the county of Queens that did experience a little bit of like basement flooding, but it sounds like Astoria was
I mean, I didn't get any in my house, but I'm also on the third floor.
Right. Well, we didn't have any in Dumbo, but then I fled to Central Virginia for a few days for an undisclosed reason that earned me some money, and always good times.
Yeah.
While the rains were continuing, and it sounded like it was a little bit dicey.
Yeah, I did not experience any diciness myself.
Yeah, well, we are thinking about our friends in Vermont,
Yeah, I
Drink your
mean,
beer while you're stuck inside.
I mean, it's horrendous. I had a package that I was supposed to get from Vermont today that was delayed by a day, and I can only blame the rain. So
Yes.
if that's the horror I'm dealing with here,
I can only imagine.
Yeah, come on, seriously.
Can I ask, can you...
Charcuterie, it was charcuterie.
Oh, charcuterie.
From Williston, Vermont.
Oh, Williston, Vermont. I've heard of them.
Yes, but they said it's coming tomorrow.
Okay.
I think it's already made it to Hackensack, New Jersey.
Oh, we know them.
Yeah.
We're familiar with them.
So that means that Vermont is fine if I'm getting my charcuterie in the mail tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so all the problems are solved by meat and cheese. Which really, I think is the theme of
that's the lesson. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if that'll be the name of the episode.
Probably not.
But we can if we want to. Do you have anything else we need to say? Anything else we need to cover?
No, honestly, I mean, it is summertime, which means that I am drinking my beers a lot outdoors on my roof, enjoying the beautiful views. And now is a great time to go, if you are planning road trips this summer, make sure that you're checking out local breweries wherever you wind up, because that is one of the joys of road tripping and summertime.
Yeah, we should go do that sometime soon.
We should. I feel like that would be a good plan.
How about, we were talking about the other day, Strong Rope, we got to go to?
Absolutely.
I still haven't been out to the new Ebbs place at City Field.
Oh, that we see. Here's the thing. I know you're not a baseball person. I like baseball.
It's fine.
I know. I would definitely go to Ebbs and then baseball.
Yeah, but if it turns out we're happen to be free some afternoon, and we don't have tickets for the baseball game, we can't get tickets for the baseball game. Do you want to go out to Ebbs anyway?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, let's do that.
And so Ebbs, we got Strong Rope and Red Hook.
Red Hook, yes.
Red Hook, that one. I mean, it is a summer of beeriness. And one should take advantage of that.
And for those of you who are missing Huck, just let you know he'll be back very soon, and we're going to hear all about his trip to France.
Important research.
And whatever, he might have been slacking a little bit, or actually might have been not feeling well a few days. But I kid. But
here's the thing. This may be shocking to everyone. I do note a wandering Huck has just come through the door here at the Bier and Cheese Collective, which must mean that he would very much like to play us out.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time. And it's all good.
Cheers, y'all.
And here we go.
With the Beervengers, Beervengers, Beervengers.
We're the Beervengers.